بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أكرمنا بشهر رمضان وجعله موسما للرحمة والعفو والغفران. نحمدك اللهم على نعمة الإسلام والإيمان، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another program, another nights of our program, Ramadan 2022. يقول أمير المؤمنين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه في خطبة في نهج البلاغة: فجاءهم بالتصديق الذي بين يديه والنور المقتدى به، ذلك القرآن فاستنطقوه ولن ينطق ولكن أخبركم عنه. ألا إن فيه علم ما يأتي والحديث عن الماضي ودواء دائكم ونظم ما بينكم. The Holy Prophet brought what is light by means of which we are to be guided. The Quran asks the book. The book may not respond to you and talk to you. However, it's me who will inform you concerning it. What it contains of knowledge of the future, the teachings of the past, the healings of your suffering, and the setting in order for your relationship. We start as usual with a little bit of recap of an important topic or theme that I started last night, being the first night of the night of Qadr, Laylatul Qadr for some people, and while it was the second night for others. And to explain exactly what Laylatul Qadr means and what is its significance. I stated that although Surah Inna Anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr, Surah Al-Qadr, is well known to explain about the night of power, but there are differences of opinion between the scholars as to exactly what Laylatul Qadr is. There are three different approaches that then we put them together overall. One approach is that the special significance of Laylatul Qadr is due to the fact that at this particular night the Quran was revealed, and hence as a consequence it becomes a unique and a special occasion. The other one claimed or asserted that the uniqueness of the Laylatul Qadr is dependent on the action and the deeds that people commit during these nights. And the third was that is nothing to do with either of them. It's just a unique night of blessing that we have to be mindful of. And I pointed out that we can either look at Laylatul Qadr as a night in which, like every other night, that there are special nights that we have in our calendar. We have the night of Arba'in, the night of Nisf Sha'ban, the night of Arafah, etc., etc. So these are among the special places and times that are uniquely designated, and we have to offer our prayers. The second view was that, no, there is something unique about this night that we have to be mindful of. And the night of Qadr, there are two nights of Qadrs. One, the night of Qadr that is specifically designated to the Imam, and one is the night of Qadr that we create ourselves, for ourselves by the special activity that we have, particularly with the transformation that takes place in our soul. Should have started from beginning of the month of Ramadan, and ultimately during these nights, that transformation should be complete. If we are able to transform the soul during these nights and reach a point in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing shines on our heart, then we have been able to have a Laylatul Qadr. Otherwise, we have not, because this is the essence and the rationale of Laylatul Qadr. A unique transformation that should take place in ourselves, and that transformation starts, as we have discussed in the previous nights, with Tawbah. If we can secure a Tawbat Nasuh before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we don't intend to go back to the wasteful life that we have spent 11 months in before, then that transformation has taken place. Because then after the month of Ramadan, then naturally this transformation is going to continue. The reason why we ask during Dua Iftitah and the other du'as, during even Dua Sahar, that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the privilege of being with the Hujjaj during Arafah. Because that is the ultimate point, when you have secured, purified yourself, and finally reached the day of Arafah. In the plain of Arafah, labbaik. When you say labbaik, if it comes out of a complete transformation of the soul, it means something. Otherwise, it remains laqlaqatul lisan, which we have heard about it a lot. Tonight, I want to digress a little bit from the usual conversation and focus on two critical issues, and which are pivotal for our discussion. We all know that during the nights of power, two things happen, particularly the night on the 19th and the 21st. We spend huge amount of time talking about the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullah salam, the shahada of Amir al-Mu'mineen, life of Amir al-Mu'mineen, etc. And also, we have Quran. So, every a'mal, the beginning of every a'mal during the night of power starts by 2 rak'ah salat, 70 times astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh, and then immediately you go into opening of the Quran, reciting few du'as, as well as putting the Quran on our head. It has become a unique part and parcel of a'mal that we do. My question is, although in the commemoration of Layal al-Qadr, we emphasize on these two inseparable realities, Ali and Quran. We have repeatedly a number of ahadith from the Holy Prophet and others clearly attesting to this and underlying it. Aliyun ma'al Quran wal Quranu ma'a Ali. Lan yaftariqa. They are not going to be separated. Or inni tarakun fikum al-thaqlayn wa thaqalayn. Kitabullah wa itrati ahlu bayti. Lan yaftariqa. Again, they are not going to be separated. So the problem is, we have ample literature to clearly indicate the pivotal role that Quran as well as Imam Ali plays in our, particularly for us Shias, It's excusable, say Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'at, say fourth Khalif, etc., etc. But for us, without Ali, without Ghadir, there is no Shia. Because that's the basis of Imam. And Imam plays a great and significant role in the whole ethos of the Shia Ithna Asharis. The question that I have is, why is it, despite all this literature, we really don't know much about Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wasalam. And we don't know anything about the Quran itself. This is a challenge for us. We know that Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wasalam alayhi from the young age grew up in an environment, particularly after the prophethood. Quran was recited day in, day out. Commentaries of the Holy Quran, the interpretation of the Holy Quran, etc., etc., is part and parcel of his life. And yet, when it comes to understanding Ali and Ali's relationship with the Quran, we really don't know much. Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi says, Wallah, ma nazalat ayatun illa wa qad alimtu fi ma nazalat wa ala man nazalat inna rabbi wahaba li qalban aqula. There is not a single verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed that I don't know the background, the foundation of this verse. The sha'n al-nuzul, the reason for the revelation, about what issue, etc., etc. While in Rabbi wahabali, it's a gift given to me, qalban aqula wa lisanan natiqa, an orator as well as a heart, that receptive heart. ليس من آية إلا وقد عرفت بليل نزلت أو أم بالنهار أو في سهل أم في جبل. Exact location where it was revealed, for what purpose is revealed. Wallah, I mean, it's very characteristics of Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi, that to take an oath. والله لو شئت لأوقرت 70 بعير من تفسير فاتحة الكتاب فقط. If I want, I could load 70 camels, commentaries on Surah Al-Fatiha only. And now we struggle even to understand basic meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha. Imam says, I could load 70 camels. Now, those days, let us assume that 70 camel, they normally wrote on shoulder blades of a camel or something else, and it had size. But 70 camels, commentary of Surah Al-Fatiha alone. No wonder his tafsir became an authentic source of reference for the future Imams that came after him. Mashaf Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi. Don't make a mistake, it's not a Quran, it's his commentary. Because Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah keep accusing us that Ali had a different Mashaf or Fatima al-Zahra had. No, these are books of commentary on the original Quran that was revealed to the Holy Prophet. Why? Because they were part and parcel of the revelation. There are hadith from Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi that said, I used to notice the sweat on the face of the Holy Prophet as Jibreel descended with the wahy. I detected the change in the color of his face. I could hear the revelation. So he is not a stranger to the Holy Quran. But why is it? Even the Quran attests to this fact that وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إن القوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. On the day of judgment, the Holy Prophet is going to stand up and says, "O Lord, my people, my ummah, my followers completely deserted the book." How can we desert the book? We only use it during the nights of power, put it on our head, and after that it goes on the mantle collecting dust until the next occasion that we look at the Holy Quran again. We really know nothing about the Quran. Even when it comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam alayhi, we really know nothing about Ali, the character of Ali. The sciences, his intellectual capacity, etc., etc. Immediately, this morning I tested this. Immediately you put in, immediately we move towards the concept of Ghadir, the concept of Imam. Ghadir is this, and we bash other people that don't accept Ali. Marhum Mutahari rahmatullah alayhi, during his days in Tehran, used to say it. He said, "We Shia Muslims," and it's a translation, "must confess that we have been unjust in regard to our duty with respect to the man whom we, more than any other, take pride in following. Or at the very least, we must admit falling short in our duty towards him. In substance, any kind of failure in fulfilling our responsibility is an act of an injustice from our part towards Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam. We did not want to realize the significance of Ali, or we had been unable to understand the significance of Ali. All our energy and labor were devoted to proclaiming the Prophet's statement about Ali on the day of Ghadir and denouncing those who ignored it. But we failed to pay attention to the intellectual side of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salam. Nahj al-Balagha. How many of us actually have spent some times opening it and reading the story? Or reading khutbah of Nahj al-Balagha? The khutbah that I recited at the beginning is khutbah 158 from Nahj al-Balagha, that clearly underscores that the Holy Prophet came with a clear declaration and a book of revelation to guide humanity. But the book by itself you will not be able to talk to you. And even in the Battle of Jamal or the Battle of Siffin, when the Quran was put on the spears by Muawiyah and Amr As and said, "Let's look at the Holy Quran as the arbitrator between us," Imam said, "It's a trick. Anal Quran al-Natiq. I am the living, the speaking Quran." So Imam considers himself, this is Nahj al-Balagha, and the concept of Quran in Nahj al-Balagha is extensive. Had the Nahj al-Balagha belonged to some other people, would they have treated it in the way we treat this great book? We don't pay attention to it. We don't read it. We don't understand it. The country of, this is 1960s or 1970s. The country of Iran is a center of Shi'ism, and the language of its people is Persian. You have only to examine the translation and commentaries of Nahj al-Balagha to make a judgment about our own accomplishment with regard to Nahj al-Balagha. And this is not something that Marhum Mutahari talks about. We can go to this sentiment being expressed by Dr. Nasr. It is astonishing that Nahj al-Balagha, which is one of the most important work in the Islamic civilization, has never been translated into elegant English directly from Arabic. Whose responsibility is it to do that? The Westerners are supposed to come and translate this book into English so that they want to understand it, or is it our responsibility? We complain that our children don't have guidance. But what did we do when we were in charge? Did we provide guidance for our children? The only book available about Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salamu alayhi, that it relates to this center. The brother of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 2 volumes written by Marhum Sheikh Muhammad Jawad Sharri, still is downstairs. Talks about the history of Amir al-Mu'mineen, his relationship with the Holy Prophet, etc., etc. Other people, when they write articles about Amir al-Mu'mineen, they make use of this reference. But how many of us actually looked at it? Nahj al-Balagha is not just the Holy Quran which is marginalized and deserted. Nahj al-Balagha is deserted as well. As a consequence, Ali is unknown. We simply talk about, yes, he was born in, say, 30 years after Amul Fil. We go back again to the history. A figure that Islam has never seen in its history from the beginning, and I stand to be corrected, will never see until the end. A figure pervasive in every aspect of our history, intellectually, politically, scientifically, and everything else. Islamic thought, culture, civilization. Imam Ali was about 5 years old when the Holy Prophet picked him up. Remember the story? We talked about it during our own lectures in the past. Abbas, Hamza, and the Holy Prophet. They went to Abu Talib because he had a large family and there was a huge drought. They said, okay, we lighten the burden on your shoulder by taking one of your sons. Abu Talib, because of his close relationship to Aqil, said, leave me Aqil and you can take the others. Hamza takes Ja'far. Abbas takes Talib. The Holy Prophet takes Amir al-Mu'mineen. As I explained the other night, we have no historical document about Talib. We know that he was with Abbas up to before the Battle of Badr. But what happened after, we don't know. Ja'far was looked after by Hamza, and the Holy Prophet looked after Amir al-Mu'mineen. And from that moment until the moment when the Holy Prophet leaves this world, Ali even mentions it in Nahj al-Balagha. Says, I was like a calf following its mother all the time. Every moment of my life. Prophet is sick, Ali is there. Prophet lectures, Ali is there. Prophet receives revelation, Ali is there. Prophet talks to Jibreel, Ali is there. And even on one occasion just before his death, the Holy Prophet was going into getting weaker and weaker. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I walked into the room and I saw a man sitting over there and holding Prophet's head on his lap. As soon as I walked in, he stood up and he said, Ya Ali, you are in much better condition than I am. I have to leave. The Holy Prophet woke up and said, what happened to the man? He said, I told him that he left. He said, Ya Ali, do you know who he was? No, it was Jibreel. So Ali is literally grows up with the revelation. And what do we do with just during the nights of power? We have no understanding of who, and unfortunately this goes with the other Imams as well. Imam Hassan, little bit about Imam Hussein and Karbala and everything else. Imam Zain al-Abidin, suddenly one event catapulted these people into the limelight as if they had nothing. Zainab, when she came to Karbala, she was about 55 years old. We suddenly discover Zainab in Karbala and the incident of Karbala and the martyrdom. But what happened to 55 years of submission? Imam Hussein is the same thing. Imam Hassan is the same. We immediately, as soon as we talk about Imam Hassan, Sulh al-Hassan and going to Medina and staying over there. This is one of the fundamental problems that we have. Recently, a couple of books are beginning to come. Even the United Nations began to understand the concept of justice from Ali's point of view. They translated his letter to Malik al-Ashtar and talked about this is how the world leaders have to lead and rule over its subjects. But we are nowhere to be seen. We shouldn't complain if our children grow up and understand nothing about Ali apart from superficial issues, and nothing about Ahlul Bayt from superficial issues, nothing about Quran beyond putting it on our head on the night of power. You organize, I've tried it at this center, you organize Tafsir al-Quran, hardly anyone. During the month of Ramadan, the recitations, few people turn up. But after the month of Ramadan, Quran is deserted. Nobody wants to know. It's not within our priorities. You organize a class about recitation of Quran after the month of Ramadan, not during the month of Ramadan. After the month of Ramadan, and see how many people are prepared to commit themselves to just the recitation. Not the commentaries, not the tafsirs, not the in-depth understanding of Quran or anything else. Nahj al-Balagha, you talk about Nahj al-Balagha, is Chinese to them. They don't want to know. Sahif al-Sajjadiyya, another book, that in-depth analysis of Sahif al-Sajjadiyya, Imam Zain al-Abidin has enclosed so many deep intellectual concepts from a Shia point of view and Islam within this book. We read it as if it's a book of dua. When we approach the month of Ramadan, we think about, is it dua number 46 or is it dua number 47 to welcome Shahr Ramadan? And when Ramadan is going to go, is it dua number 47 or is it dua number 48? Is that all? Encapsulate the life of Imam Zain al-Abidin into Nahj al-Balagha, and Nahj al-Balagha only when we read it as some du'as, supplications for a few nights. How many of us, even outside the month of Ramadan, you read Dua Abu Hamza al-Thamali by itself outside the context of Ramadan and think about what is in it? How the relation should be between subject, abd, human being, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the conversation. Oh Lord, even if you take me to hell and you punish me, I still say I love you. This is the language that we have to talk about. Not just recite it, go through it. Look at another text. How can you punish me? And I have so much expectation of your mercy. We don't spend time. I think what we really need to do, instead of simply focusing on superficial issues, we really need to spend some time for in-depth understanding of these. Quran should not be mahjur in our life, only comes alive during the month of Ramadan, only few nights. And Ali should not come out into the limelight only the 19th, the 21st, and 20th, and the 21st, and possibly the 23rd. These are pivotal in our understanding of true Islam. If they fail to understand Ali, it's their problem, not ours. We should, as a Shia community, we have spent so much money in building mustawsaf or some clinic somewhere else, while our kids here have literally bereft of any ideas about Ahlul Bayt. We have not even a single seat, endowed seat at the University of Detroit, University of Michigan, Dearborn, about Shia studies. but others do it. So tomorrow night, inshallah, as we transition into Tafsir al-Quran, we need to understand that Quran plays a major role. It's not just for the month of Ramadan. It's not just for thawab that we go through it. We really need to reflect on the Quran and understand it the way we should understand. This is the book of guidance, the only living miracle. I have said it in the past. We have no revelation or no book that you can rest it on revelation at all apart from Quran. The Pentateuch and the Jewish tradition, the tablets were destroyed. We have no signs of them. What we have is a collection of rabbinic tradition putting things together from Babylonian Exodus up to now. But as far as the Christian tradition, the New Testament is the same thing. 4 books, there used to be more, at least the church decided to collect 4 of them and throw out the rest as apocryphas, weak. But even the oldest author of the book is 50 years after, call it the ascension of the Prophet Isa or crucifixion of Prophet Isa. They never saw Prophet Isa. So it's not revelation. If you want to look at a book, a living miracle that has stood the test of time over 1,400 years ago, it's our book. And it's about time we pay attention to it. May Allah forgive our shortcoming, inshallah, and accept our prayers during these nights. As I always, during the previous nights, I have always advised, please keep the brothers and sisters and everybody else in your prayers during these coming nights. For some people, tonight is the night of the 21st. Others will be tomorrow night. And soon, before we know it, it's 23rd. And after that, that's it. That's the end of the month of Ramadan. Let's capitalize on whatever is left and secure something. It is not superficial, but it's more of an in-depth, concrete change from within. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.